Here we go. Hey everyone, my name's Cara, and today we're sitting on the floor, and the cat is already brushing against the microphone. Today we're sitting on the floor because my birthday is coming up soon. That's a weird sentence, but I promise it's connected. My birthday's coming up, so I bought my cats a gift. Here's the other one. I bought them a new cat tree, not to replace this adorable one that's been in the background of lots of videos and that Nebula is sitting on right now. Such a good model. Look at the camera. Yes. This is their little cloud and shooting star one. Hang on, I need to stop moving it while talking because that's going to make noise in the mic. I originally got that to go in the back window, which is a little bit higher up. These front windows have this like window seat, so they can already get up in these windows. I wanted this so they could sit in the back window where there's not a bench directly under it. But it's not that tall, and it's just so flippin' cute. I wanted it to be in the background of the videos, so I put it over here in this corner. But the thing is, they also love being close to me wherever I am. They're adorable. We all love each other. So when I'm reading in this nook, they love to climb up on the tree to be near me. It's usually like right next to that. I moved it over here so we can sit. So this one's going to stay here. This is not to replace this one, although I have removed the fabric from the bottom that was getting really torn up. And I did also recently learn that when these scratching post parts get worn out, which from this angle you can't even see, the top part is where they've been scratching. But when these get totally worn out, you can just buy just a replacement part of that scratchy bit. And you can buy them in different sizes and lengths. So if I wanted to make this taller, I could just replace this upper post with a taller piece or get two taller pieces for the bottom down here. But this one is not worn down enough yet to worry about that. But that's a thing I hadn't even considered being able to do. So anyway, I bought them a new cat tree that is already a little bit taller. It's gonna go in the back window. So you're not gonna see it in the background of videos, but I'll show it to you today. We're gonna put it together while I chat with you about various things. I have already cut it open. So color palette reveal, it's pink and green and beige. I had this flannel on because it was cold in here, but now I'm getting too warm. But the last time I did a video on the floor, like doing something in the floor of my old apartment in a tank top, I got a lot of comments about my arms, so let's talk about that really quick. This happens to me all the time in real life. My friends are used to seeing me always with like my upper arms covered, because I'm cold a lot, so I wear sleeves a lot, and at least a half sleeve, because I'm also doing stuff, so I always push my sleeves up. Anyway, so people are used to seeing my upper arms covered, so when you see them not covered, people are often shocked at how small they are. But like I promise they're this size all the time. I look like this all the time. Let me show you. So like this is the normal size of my arms. But I'm usually wearing something like this. So even though this is like tighter on my arms, it looks just different enough. I don't know. It's really funny. We've covered it. It's warm in here. Sleeves are coming off. Crinkle noise. Whoa, okay, so the package of hardware is like tethered to the corner of the box. That's cool. Set that over there. Okay, so firstly, this is the top of the top platform. I didn't realize this is a separate cushion. That's actually really nice. So this can be taken off to be washed and then just put back on top. Oh, that's good. See what we're going for? It's so cute. Let's just set that there for now. It looks like just a little throw pillow. That's adorable. I'm gonna get all these pieces out so then we can just start chatting. Oh, we've got multiple pom-pom toys. I ordered this from Chewy. I do not know what brand it is. Okay, so now you can't see everything, but you can see a lot of everything here. So yeah, my birthday's coming up, and I just had this really strong desire to finally get them a cat tree for the back window. So it's kind of a gift to me too, because it's something cute for my space, and it's something good for my girls. But yeah, like I don't really know what I want for me. Other than the thing that I always want, my partner and I are long distance, so I want to see them. We usually only get to see each other a few times a year, and it's typically on each of our 2 birthdays and then at the winter holiday season. So this does actually bring me into the first kind of topic here, which is that we didn't realize until like really recently, so until it's kind of late, because as I'm recording this, my birthday is this upcoming weekend. My partner's had a lot of last minute expenses and stuff come up that made it so that we didn't realize until kind of too late that the plane ticket to come visit me for my birthday isn't in the budget anymore because the emergency expenses that cropped up. Can't plan for stuff like that, car trouble. So, it is my birthday, and if you would like to contribute to getting me a gift, I do have a Ko-fi, so you can always send me a little tip on there. There's a link to that in the descriptions as always. You can also, if you are able and interested, support me monthly on Patreon or Ko-fi. That's ongoing support, and that feeds me and the cats. That's not, unfortunately, not extra fun money. That is a major stream of my income. Why do I always feel the need to say that? Well, because years ago, there were people who were really rude and said things about, like, that I don't do enough work to earn $1 a month, which is absurd. I do so much work. But I also thought, like, well, maybe people feel differently about it when they think that it's, like, optional or it's, like, extra fun money and I don't really need it. I don't know, but that ongoing support is how I feed myself and the cats, as well as when I teach classes and stuff like that. So it's not my only stream of income, but it is a major one. All right, Nebula's sitting on the piece that I need. Hello. We're attaching this to this. You can also, if you're able or willing, you can also, if you're able and interested, get a reading from me. I do tarot or oracle readings asynchronously sent to your email, and that is paid through Ko-fi, so you buy it in my Ko-fi shop. But I have a page on my website all about my readings and kind of my philosophy behind cartomancy and divination, so I encourage you to read that first, but then you get the reading through Ko-fi. I usually try to do them in a 2-week turnaround span of time, but since my birthday's coming up, and I don't know, I might get an increased volume of them because of this ask. So increased volume will affect turnaround. It might not be until September that I get to them, but that is another way that you could contribute, but also get a little something in return. This is the first one of these cat tree things that I've gotten that has actual screws, so it has an actual Phillips head on the other side of the hex wrench. And this is the first step, and it's like being difficult. Nebula, please do not lose that little tiny screw. Like, I should just go get a regular screwdriver or a drill. Okay, there we go. I was just trying to get it in enough to then attach it to the other one, because actually doing this on the floor and trying to put it where you can see it on camera is silliness. I need a flat surface. The other thing that I'm doing right now that is a job that supports me, that you can also support, is the Reclaiming podcast that I'm working on. So I've been saying I want to tell you all more about this, and I'm still planning on making a whole video just about it at some point. But it's called the Spiral Web Podcast, and it's a team of some people that I've gotten to know who are also in the reclaiming tradition from all over the place. Hang on, baby. Excuse me. I've now grabbed a lap desk to assist with this situation, and we are interviewing a bunch of elders of our tradition, a lot of the original founding folks, at least those who are still alive and who are still in some way involved in the tradition, who we're able to contact and have a conversation with. So it's not like everybody. And some of the people you might be thinking of, if you know anything about reclaiming, some of the original members, we are not interviewing until season 2. We've actually already done some of the season 2 interviews, but I'm still editing season 1 right now. But it's been really exciting. If you're signed up for my email newsletters, you've heard a little bit of updates as I go about that and how much I'm really enjoying the process. It is a lot of work. I am the content editor, so I am editing the audio and video because it is a podcast, but there will be video portion. It'll be available on YouTube, but also on a bunch of podcasting platforms. But we interviewed 12 people for season 1. And we finished those interviews last year, and I've been working on the edits this year. So it's very slow going, but I'm keeping track of the hours as I edit. And we have a Patreon for the podcast that is essentially the way that people support the podcast, and that is the way that I get paid for those editing hours. So I'm doing all of the work up front, but I'm not getting paid for those hours until later when we get more support. And because the public episodes aren't out yet, like the final episodes, and I'll tell you more about that and how this is working. They're kind of 2 phases, and I'm in phase 1. Because the public, like, final podcast isn't going to be out for a while yet, I feel like we're not going to get a lot of that support until that happens. So it's going to be really after the fact. But that is another thing that I encourage you to support if you like that kind of stuff. Even if you're not a reclaiming specific person, if you are interested in witchcraft history and the history and present and future of modern witchcraft traditions, I think that you would really enjoy hearing from a lot of these personalities who created this tradition and have sort of played different roles in its evolution over decades. I know I'm having a blast. And again, I feel really honored to be able to use my, basically self-taught content editing skills. This work that I've been doing for 17 years now. I got a pop-up on my phone from the YouTube app like last month that said, congrats on 17 years. Being able to use that for this type of project. One of these 4 screws is really not participating. I'm gonna have to deal with it another time, but this is good enough. One of them got stripped, so I'll have to redo that. But it is the base. It'll just be resting on the floor. It's just so the piece doesn't come apart. Next, we're putting these in to make the little hut part stand up. So yeah, I'm having a blast, but this is a very involved project, and so I've been wanting to make a whole video about it also so that I can have the podcast accounts post it so that potential supporters and future audience members can get a sense of the behind the scenes, what's going on right now, how is this working. So there's phase 1, phase 2, phase 0 essentially of each season is actually conducting the interviews. Somebody else on the team is in charge of that. We have people who are our guest relations people. I've been doing some outreach to people who are my friends in the community who I want to invite, but there's mostly other people who have been doing that for most of the guests and that send out the forms, collect the forms, answer questions that those folks may have, and help us get the logistical part of the scheduling in order. I have been present at most of the interviews and taking notes, which is very helpful for me for when I'm going to edit it in the future. So I have tried to be at all of them, and then for season 2, I'm actually doing the live production of the recordings myself, so I have to be at all of them. Well, I don't have to, because I can do stuff just in post, but anyway, I digress. I'm trying to keep this sort of a brief explanation. Yeah, me, brief, right? So anyway, the actual conducting of the interviews, the scheduling, the people-facing part, and if there is live recording, having that conversation happen and getting it on digital, rather than on film or on tape. We're not filming or taping, we are recording digitally. But doing that, phase 0. So phase 1 for me of the editing is that we have conducted 12 interviews, so I have to edit those 12 interviews, those individual conversations. Those calls were anywhere between 2 and 5 hours. And then I'm going through that, I'm cutting out any long pauses when we took breaks, anything that they, wanted to stop and restart saying it. The fact that it's not a live show and that it would be edited really helps people who are not used to speaking to a camera on their own all the time feel more comfortable about it. So I'm really committed to making sure that, those types of things are respected, but also that people just look good and sound good as best as possible, to the best of my ability, while still being fully represented in the way that they showed up for that conversation, the way that they naturally speak, so I'm cutting out some ums and uhs, especially when they're in a pause. But if people are speaking and they say, like that, I'm keeping that in. That's how they spoke. So anyway, there's also a lot of, hey, okay. I should have known this was going to happen. Nebula's already checking it out. Do you love it? Okay, she loves it. The door's on my side. Baby, it's not done yet, honey. I'm still putting it together. You can sit over here. The part that she's sitting on right now is actually, the reason that I got this one. I'm really excited for that. I think she's gonna love it. I think they're both gonna love it, but I'm especially hoping that she will. Okay. Well, you know what? You can be there while I do this part, I guess, as long as I can still reach to the back here to line this up. She's licking my hand on the inside of the hut. I love you too, baby, but it's not done yet. So anyway, there's a bunch of stuff that needs to be done with the edits as well. Because this has been such a long... Okay, I love you. This is for you. This is the thing. It is for you. But it's not done yet. So I can't say that's not for you, baby. It is for her. It is for both of you, but it's not ready. No. Honey, you're gonna break it. I'm pretty sure she just popped out that screw that was not stable. I need you to get out. So putting this together in the room with your cats, I don't know if I advise it, but like this is my room. This is the space that I have. Yeah, so that other screw died. The hole we were trying to put it in said no thank you. Actually, I'm gonna live my own life somewhere else. Okay, but when I put it back in this time, I think I actually got it in a better position. So thank you, honey. No, it's still broken. But anyways, absolutely not the way that is supposed to go. So I'm editing, right? I have a lot of editing to do. So because of how long this process has been, we tried to prep as much stuff in advance as possible. We commissioned a couple of artists that one of our team members knows to do the background art and kind of put everything together, choose the colors to make it cohesive and stuff. And we chose a font and, things like that would be consistent. But somebody else was producing the season 1 recordings, so I didn't actually see them until I got them for editing. And so I didn't know that, there wasn't an outline around the text, which makes it a lot more visually accessible. It makes it a lot easier to see if there's an outline. And it's fine, some font on some backgrounds is totally fine without an outline. But you'll notice when I edit my videos, there's always outlines on my text, even just a little bit, because it really helps a lot. And so with the color of the text that we used and the background, the guests' names and everything that's on the screen was really getting lost. So I wanted to redo that. We also originally were recording everything with the Zoom captions visible on the screen because some of our team members used to do a podcast that was a live show. It was live streamed. So it was easiest because they were doing their interviews on Zoom anyway to just show those captions on screen. So that's originally how this was all set up. So we recorded all of them with those captions on screen. And automatic captions are great for accessibility. They're better than not having anything at all, but a lot of the time they are wrong, especially if people have different accents, or especially when you're talking about things that are not really common words. So a lot of stuff that we're talking about in witchcraft and magical contexts, sometimes the words are just wrong, but especially terms and people's names and different spellings of things, we're gonna wanna double check all that stuff anyway. And if it doesn't pick up someone's accent or just their voice's tonal quality makes it difficult for an automatic system to pick up, we're going to want to manually check those things to make them as accurate as possible, which takes a lot more hours. I'm not able to do that myself for my content because of how many extra hours it takes. I don't have a team for my stuff. But because we have a team over there, there are other people who can help do that. So we decided to not have the captions on screen because then that would be confusing and I felt like I had to correct them on screen, which was just taking way too much work. So instead I'm editing it so that those portions of the screen are just redone. So I'm redoing the bottom third of the screen basically. It's the bottom fifth, I guess. The bottom fifth of the screen where the names and the captions would go. And then the upper fifth where there's the title, because when it was recorded, the title wasn't locked in the same place, and so sometimes it would switch back and forth all the time, and I don't know about you, but that's really visually distracting to me, so I'm fixing that so that it stays in one place. So there's a lot of little extra edits that I'm doing that are beyond just the normal go through a conversation and cut out pauses, right? So it's taking a long, long time, and I have to do that for 12 interviews, but again, I would never not do it because it's so important to me to make it all look and sound as best as I possibly can. And I know that this is going to be amazing and it's so worth it. This piece is going to go under this, so I'm also going to do that while we're here, while this is still upside down. So while I'm going through that phase 1, editing all those interviews, for those who are able and interested in supporting the podcast on Patreon, as a supporter exclusive over there, you get to see the full edited interviews as a Patreon supporter bonus. So as I finish them, they're getting posted on Patreon and you get to see the full conversation right there. Because that is not the final podcast, my friends. Ha ha! that is not the final at all. Because what did I say? That is phase 1. So phase 2 will be going into the actual, what will be the final public episodes. And those are going to be split up a little bit by topic. We asked everybody a number of the same sort of stock questions about reclaiming and their time in reclaiming. And then we also asked them some personal questions that are just about their individual experience and maybe some other type of work that they do relevant to the tradition or their spiritual path. So I don't know exactly yet, because it'll depend on the length and how much time actually ends up in each episode. We're going to come up with like what's kind of the maximum length that we want each episode to be. But then I'm going to take like all 12 of those people, their answer to question 1, edit that one after the other. All of them answering question 2, edit them all together. So it's going to be a patchwork is one of the terms I've been using. It's going to be a collage, which is why I need to edit the individual interviews first, so then I can have each of their individual question answers. And then I have them in separate folders. So here's everybody answering question 3, everybody answering question 4. So we asked everybody the same, more or less the same introductory and concluding questions and some reclaiming specific questions. But then we also have all of those things that are just other things we wanted to talk to that person about. And so for those episodes kind of in the middle of the season, there's going to be some different topics because we have such a wide variety of things that we talked to all of those people about. Okay, this one goes on top of this little one to balance it out. Ouch. Ow! These guys are really sharp and prickly at first. So that's what'll actually be the final public podcast that goes out, is going to be those edited together collage versions that have more specific topical sort of themes for each episode. It's not just going to be an episode talking with one person. The next episode is talking with a different person. You're going to hear the perspectives of everybody we talked to for season 1 on those topics. And then also some individual ones in the middle, depending on how we organize them. I love doing stuff like this, which is why I was so excited to sign up for this project. But it does kind of mean that I'm, in a way, sort of working on it somewhat feels like 2 different projects, because there's the editing this series of interviews, and then there's putting them into this final form. So phase 1, phase 2. I am in the middle. I'm currently working on editing interview number 5 out of 12 for season 1. We have also already conducted 5 or 6 of the interviews that will be for season 2. But those should be a little bit faster in editing, because now we know all of the changes that we ended up making for how we want it to look for season 1, which I'm doing in post now. I was able to set things up already, so like we're not putting the captions on screen, so I'm not going to have to take those off. I already have an outline around the font, right? Like everything is set up the way that it should look. So those edits should go a little bit more smoothly and not too much unlike one of my regular vlogs where I'm just cutting out all of the stuff in between that you don't need to see or hear. Like how long this original file is going to be compared to what you're actually going to see. And yeah, this is also what it's like eating a meal with me, talking more than I'm doing the thing. This is the really exciting piece. Are you ready? It's a basket! Or like a bowl, and they have some that are literally a bowl, like a clear plastic bowl that you can like see your cat through. This is more like a hammock, but it's like a little hammock basket because it is just loose hanging fabric, but it is in a circular shape as opposed to there's a lot of ones out there that are like a rectangle of fabric. You cannot chew apart this fabric, Nebula. Nebula is currently sitting inside the box that this came in, which is fine. She's a cat. Of course she's going to be doing that. Cat confirmed. Really need you to not eat this fabric because this piece of fabric in particular is going to hold you up. She has eaten the fabric on the top of this one. She like chews it. I need to sew it back together. Okay, and then it wants us to put this little disc on here before we put on the other rope piece. Oh, this one has a little tiny bit of a screw attached into it. The rest of them I had to put that in. Interesting. Oh, this has to go up. Yeah, that has to go up because then we're going to put our round platform on top and then the flower cushion. So that's what's going on with the podcast, and that's why it's taking me so long and why I've been talking about it for months, and I'll keep talking about it for months, because right now I'm just hoping to have all 12 interviews done and posted on Patreon by Halloween so that I could have the last 2 months of the year to start putting together the phase 2 final edits so that we start releasing the podcast in 2027 in the new year. So that's my hope, but I don't know because stuff comes up. I haven't had a lot of time. Okay, so the reason there are 2 of these, I was just wondering, one of them is going to dangle from this upper platform, but I was wondering, where does the other one go? And the other one does not have a little screw. So it's because you can replace it. So they know how cats are. I just have to spin this on the top, and hopefully I can make it land about where we want it. Well, that'll work right there. And oh yeah, if this whole thing spins around a little bit more, goes a little bit tighter, then we've got a little bit more wiggle room for dangle toy placement. There we go. Beautiful. Time to get up. Let's move it back a little bit so you can see the whole thing. Okay, but not too far back. You want to be able to see the top. For the pièce de résistance. Le fleur. Gotta really stretch it on here, but it's good to know that there is a fabric-covered platform anyway. So even if I take this off to wash it or whatever, it's not like a bare platform. It's a flower platform. Anyway, Nebula, come here. Would you like to test the flower? Are you ready, honey? Let's test. Ba-ba-ba-ba. Flower power! Gamora! Gamora's here too! Do you want to test it? Da-da-da-da! Incredible! Can we get Nebula in the basket? Yeah, get in the hammock. Check it out. They've never had something like that, so get your butt out of the camera. Yay! Oh, are you confused? Ooh, that's my girl. Okay, and Nebula's already scratching it. That's great. Gamora's in the hut. Just all the cat scratching ASMR because the microphone was still down on the floor. Yes, incredible. This is for you. Let me get a picture. Hey. Okay. Yes, okay, not in the fabric. Why you gotta go for the fabric all the time? Okay, well, right now they're both in and on it, so I can't move it. We'll have to wait. I don't remember what the last thing was I said about the podcast, but you basically get it. I've told you about the whole situation. The schedule is not exactly known. I have a plan, I have goals, but who knows? And that's why. So you can support the podcast, and that retroactively will be paying me back for all of the hours of editing this thing that I know is going to be incredible, and that I think will benefit and entertain and educate many people. I'm so excited. So moving on, the other thing that I wanted to share with you is, I think a while ago I did a vlog where I was crocheting, or I talked about crocheting. I crocheted at least a few stitches actually while talking, but I was working on a cardigan, my first ever crocheted cardigan, my first garment crochet project. By that I mean I've always made like accessories. I've always made headbands, hats. There's piles of them back here. I make a lot of hats that I wear myself. I make them as gifts. I make a lot of bags. I make water bottle holders, scarves, arm warmers, things that you might wear on your person but are more of an accessory. I've never made like a sweater. So I made a cardigan for the first time. Okay, wait, they're both out. Okay, they both got out of it, so I had to take the opportunity to move it. It is over in front of the back window now. Here are some pictures. Nebula is already back on it. Gamora is making her way over there now. Nebula does love chewing on this like soft Sherpa sort of fabric that they put on everything though. So definitely having a replacement one of these is smart, but I'm also just like, can you not eat the fabric? That's not the point. Scratch on the rope stuff, yes, that is what that's for. That's a scratching post. But, like, don't eat the fluffy stuff. She loves eating fluffy stuff, and Gamora loves eating rubbery stuff. So everybody just has their preferred textures. This is going to live back here on this shelf, at least for right now. So if you see that little pink ball in the video backgrounds, you know what that is. So I finished my first cardigan and I want to show it to you. And yes, it's at the end of this very long video. So maybe not everyone will watch this. So I might show this off again in another video, in another couple of videos, to increase the chances that more of you got to see it. But, and let me put it on. So this is based on a pattern from Happy Heartsy that a friend of mine shared, not kidding, the day after I said to myself, maybe this is the year I finally crochet a sweater. The next day, my friend shared this pattern, and it's got moon phases down the back. So, like, of course, right? I have not washed it yet, so this is just exactly how it actually lays. I did the pattern as it was written, except for what I'm hoping happens is that it's gonna relax a little bit as I wear it more and maybe as I wash it. The sleeves are not quite as long as I want them to be, but if I hold on to them, it stretches just perfectly nicely to the length that I want it to be. But without me doing that, if I just like kind of relax it, see how it's a little bit short on my wrists, which you could easily just add like 5 or 6 more rows, but I wanted to do it as close as possible to her pattern so that I could see how it ends up and then adjust for future ones, because you know I'm going to be making more of these. For myself, my mom already has said, you should sell these. The amount of hours that stuff like this takes, I would have to charge so much for something like this that nobody would actually buy it. So I will make them for myself. I will make them occasionally as a gift for a beloved, for a loved one, for a friend, you know. I very likely will not ever be selling these because it just takes so much time. If you do this kind of thing, then you know. Blankets, you know, full garments, anything really big like that. But anyway, so this is the, whatever's the small or extra small, kind of the smallest version of this pattern. And the back panel is the same width for whatever size. And then the sleeves, oh yeah, so I was saying the only thing that I changed about this is that I knew I didn't want my sleeves to be really super baggy and then all of a sudden come down to this little cuff. So I did decrease a couple of times down. So I don't know if you can tell at all, which is fine. You shouldn't necessarily be able to tell. But if I pull it out, see how it kind of scoops up? And that's because probably right around there and then right around there, I decreased it to make them taper a little bit more gradually down, and then the cuff really pulls it all together. But the rest of it is the same. I learned how to do a foundation half double crochet for this, and I'm so grateful for that knowledge now. I never knew about foundation chain stitches. It really is a game changer. So the other thing that I did, pockets are written on the pattern as optional. To me, pockets in a cardigan are not optional. So of course I'm gonna do that. By the way, somebody asked me, one of my friends said, what is a cardigan? Like, what defines a cardigan? To me, a cardigan is an open front sweater. It may or may not have buttons to close it, which I could add buttons easily. It may or may not have pockets. But to me, the definition is an open front sweater as opposed to like a pullover. So I call like a pullover or a crew neck style sweater, that's what I call a sweater. And an open one like this, I call a cardigan. Now mine and a lot of like women's styles tend to be longer as well. So like this one covers my butt nicely. It's a good length for me. But I also wear some that are very long. And to me, what I grew up knowing is something that's like to my knees or past my knees in length, I might call a duster. But it also kind of depends on what they're made of, because if it was made of like a thick yarn like this, I would still think of it as a sweater. The things that I have that I consider dusters tend to be lighter weight, but I don't actually think that's like a universal way to use those terms at all. That's just what I think of. So when I say cardigan, I mean an open front sweater. Thought I would share that because one of my friends asked me about that. So pockets in my mind are not optional, but in the pattern, the pockets are plain. I took the liberty of starting from the way that the moons are done on the back, and I came up with my own way of making them into the triple moon goddess and the horned god symbols. So this one is directly based on the full moon pattern and one of the crescent moons. It's the exact same number. I just combined the center, you know, the same row of 3 that makes the bottom of the crescent there. I just combined them. This one took a little bit more because I was doing the crescents sideways, and that's on an even number instead of an odd number. It's based on an odd number horizontally so that you can get one right in the middle. But I think it came out really well. And I'm so happy about it. I wasn't sure which side I wanted them on either, but I ended up deciding to put the triple moon goddess on my right hand pocket because it's the one that I use the most often, really is kind of the only reason. I was looking for my printout of the pattern. I printed out my own version of the pattern so that I could visually separate the number of stitches when doing the color work for the graphic pattern. I printed my own version where it's like spaced out of like how many gray, space, how many black, how many gray in the middle, how many black, and then how many more. So I can visually, when you look at it, it shows kind of like a crescent-y pattern. It's her pattern, I just formatted it differently and had my housemate help me print it so that I could look at that. So I was gonna hold it up and show you, but I guess it's downstairs. But it's by Happy Heartsy. And maybe what I'll actually do in the future is I'll just cut this part of this vlog out and edit it as its own separate video to just show off the cardigan, but it'll be the exact same as the one that's in here, so some of you will have already seen it. But I said that I would share it and tag her when I was done because she also has a video tutorial going through it, and I consulted her tutorial once I got to the trim because I was a little bit unsure how the trim would work around the neck, which I now realize is very silly. It's very simple. I was overthinking it, but I feel like the thing that really took the longest was the trim. But I really like it. It's so effective. For me, it was a very easy to follow pattern. I've been crocheting since I was a kid, so I'm already familiar with all of the basic stitches and a little bit with how to switch colors. I've learned better ways to switch colors now than I did as a kid. So I'm improving, but I'm so excited. This is my first garment. And of course I finished it like as it started getting really warm outside, so I haven't been wearing it as often yet because it's quite warm. This is acrylic yarn. I usually work with acrylic and cotton. You can kind of do whatever. Your own thing, your own preference. But oh yeah, I also learned the mattress stitch to seam the pieces together in a better way, which I did not do up here. I did these ones a little bit differently, so I have a little bit of a more textured seam on the shoulders, but it sits a little further back, so you wouldn't even know if I didn't point it out to you, but I'm pointing it out to you because I think it's interesting. You know, now it kind of gives it something different. And then where I attached these and how I attached the sides and down the bottom of the sleeves is with a mattress stitch, and it's really effective. I'm glad that I learned that. So I learned some new skills doing this as well. And ultimately, I think it went faster than I thought it would. It only took me so long to finish it because I was concerned that I was going to be running out of the yarn. So even though I had checked the amount of yards needed, and I made sure that what I bought said it was more than that, and I did a test swatch. I did a gauge swatch. I've never done that for a project before. I always just kind of wing it. But with something like this, I really wanted to know that it would be the right size compared to the pattern because it's a garment to be worn. So I did a test swatch and it was right. Everything was all good. So I don't know. My theory is that maybe the amount of yarn recommended doesn't include the pockets because the pockets are considered optional. I don't know. But anyway, I decided that I wanted to get more of the gray yarn, but this is a heather gray yarn, not just a plain gray yarn. I thought it was a common enough yarn when I bought it, but then I went back to the store and month after month after month, they did not have more of this. I eventually got more. I just had to wait for it to become I actually called my mom. I was like, Mom, can you order this yarn for me? Because it just, every time it says it's available, I order it. I couldn't get it in store. So then I tried ordering it and they were like, yeah, we have it. But then it would be like, oh, just kidding, we're out of stock, sorry. So I called my mom and had her order it. And then it arrived in like 2 days, go figure. Like sometimes you just have to call mom and have her handle the thing. Anyway, so that's the only reason it actually took me as long to finish it as I did. But I really love it. And that creator also has a lot of other patterns, some of which are available for free, or you can also, of course, pay her to support her making these lovely patterns, and the resources to go with it, not only typing out the pattern, but there's a whole video tutorial. But there is so this is called the All My Phases cardigan. There's also an All My Phases blanket. There's a full version blanket, and there's a baby blanket size one with slightly different patterns. They're really beautiful, beautiful work. So I'm definitely going to be doing more. I'm going to be doing them in different colors. I might do some where I add something up here on the like breast panels, something that goes all the way up them. I could do something with designs on the sleeves. Like this just opened so many possibilities. I'm so excited. I've already started designing graphic patterns to do a bigger, different type of design all down the back of something. I'm literally planning one that's like devotional to one of the deities that I'm working with. Like, so many possibilities. So I wanted to share that with you. You're also probably going to see another video from me very soon here this coming week because I am reopening registration for the 9 Moons video course. I originally talked about it last year, but I only had one person sign up, so I canceled it because part of it is being in a group learning environment. I wanted there to be a small group so that people can also discuss with other people and it's not just me. So you get a second chance at being part of the first round because the first round didn't happen. It got rescheduled for this year. It's going to be, the info has been up on my website this whole time, but now registration is open again. It's going to be this year from the September equinox through the December solstice. It's a 3-month supported video course, meaning that the lessons, the classwork is going to be pre-recorded video. Just like this, you watch it on your own time, but there's also going to be a private Discord group where we can discuss. I'm going to share more resources in there, answer people's questions, so there will be some more interaction, but there's no live calls. You never have to show up in a Zoom call or even a Discord call. You never have to show up at a scheduled time in a live call, so people from any time zone can participate. I also keep really weird hours myself, so it's just kind of hard to know when to even schedule things that I could do live, because when I'm working, most people are asleep, and I'm asleep when most people are working, and when people are free to do stuff, who knows? So that's one of the reasons this is a video-based thing, but with some opportunity for small group discussion. So I want to have a minimum of 4 people participating this year. I've got 2 people who I know are interested, so we only need 2 more to for sure have it happen this year. My ideal is to have 6 to 8 participants, plus myself, which would make 9, which would be really nice because it's about 9 moons, the phases of the moon, and working with them for your magic, but also kind of the larger topic of adapting your magic to whatever time you are able to do it. So we're going to talk about magical timing and what you can do with the moon phases and stuff like that. But rather than having to force yourself to fit into a certain ideal, I'm going to teach you how I look at the current phase and just everything that's going on in the cosmos at the present moment, how to adapt your magical needs to fit that, rather than saying, oh, I need to do this thing at the full moon. It's the new moon right now, so I have to wait 2 weeks to do that thing. I'm going to show you how to look at whatever's going on that day in that moment and work with the flow of energy that is happening right then. Because as a person with ADHD, executive dysfunction, who has a weird schedule, who has fluctuating energy and ability levels, whether it's because of neurodivergence, a hectic life schedule, school, work, kids, and their school, their schedules, whether it's chronic illness, chronic pain, anything like that, that just like, you don't know when you're going to be able to do stuff. Whatever the reason might be, I know that I often find myself going, I want to do this magic and I kind of need to do it right now because now is when I have the time and the energy. But then if you look at the type of magic it is, and I think about everything that I know about magic and timing and associations, and I go, but really the best time to do that would have been last Tuesday or 3 Thursdays from now at 7 a.m., but I don't wake up at 7 a.m. Instead of thinking about how to schedule your magic to fit those ideals, we're going to talk about how to work with what is happening in the moment that you are ready to do your magic. Because the best time to do your magic is exactly when you will actually do it. When you are able and ready
and actually going to do the thing. So if you're interested in working with me on that, that's what the 9 Moons video course is about. We'll hang out for 3 months. You retain access to all of the videos after the fact, and you can even stay in that group and keep chatting. And when I conduct other classes and people join for other classes, there will be private class spaces for each of those groups, but there's also going to be an area where everybody who's taken any of my classes can continue to hang out in that space. And if you like the idea of that, but maybe not necessarily this class, if you're able to support monthly on Patreon or Ko-fi, you also get access to my private server called the Woodland, which is just for my monthly supporters. So there's already some people who get to hang out with me all the time and pick my brain randomly, or just share what you're up to. There's a section where I talk about crafting stuff, so I've already shared some stuff about the cardigan and other things I've been working on. We talk about movies, we talk about games, we can talk about witchcraft. It's kind of whatever people are in there who want to discuss. And a lot of the time it's pretty quiet because a lot of people just like to be there to observe, and that's fine too. But I'm not gonna lie to you and make you think that you're coming into this hustling, bustling marketplace of an online space. It's a really chill and quiet space. It's a lot more like walking into a library. Everybody's hanging out in their own section, doing their own work, quietly. And then occasionally we'll look up and be like, hey guys, do you want to hear this really interesting thing that I just found? Or like, hey, look at this thing that I've been working on. Hey, look at this thing that I've been working on that I just finished, right? But it is an opportunity, another space to be that is sharing space with me. So if you like that idea of that portion of that class structure, that already does exist. And I do presently have one recurring offering going on in there, which is that once a month, currently it's every 3rd Tuesday, but I'm open to changing that a little bit depending on people who are interested in coming up, if a better day or time could work out for us differently. But right now it's every 3rd Tuesday in the Woodland server for my monthly supporters. I do a tarot chat where we can get on a live call and do some tarot together. And you can either ask me questions about learning it or how to interpret things, or we can pick a spread and do a spread together. I will not be doing readings for people in that context. It's more like a Skillshare study group for people who are interested in tarot or also do tarot, whether you are learning or already do it and just want to nerd out about it with people. But I've been doing these sorts of tarot chats for a while now with my local circle, and I've also offered it at online witch camp events as a one-off kind of optional offering, Skillshare, and people really enjoy them. So if that's something that you really enjoy doing, I'm offering that once a month, and I show up for that time slot whether people are there or not. So you never know. It could be just you and me talking about tarot for an hour, or it could be 5 people show up that day and we do something different. It depends on who arrives. Sometimes it's just me, and so I get to do a little private practice, but I'm still holding that space magically. So I've been doing that since February of this year. And if you're signed up for my email newsletter, you also hear about that every month because it's on my list of things that are going on. It's a recurring offering. I've also added it to my website now. It was on my website for the last couple of months, but I've added a little bit more information about it in there now. When I redid everything to update the 9 Moons page, and I updated my class offerings page, I'm organizing it a little bit differently now so that it's organized more. Well, it's kind of organized the same, but I've just explained how it's organized so that you know. But there's one section that's like classes and other discussion group work type things. And then there's like workshops and presentations. And the way that I realized I'm seeing these differently, so I decided to explicitly say that, is that the classes and stuff are mostly, what I mean by that is they're group things. It's like the reclaiming core classes where you're showing up for a live call. There is group participation. You are there to do learning and practice with other people, as opposed to things that are more like workshops or presentational style is kind of like this, where I'm talking, you're watching it maybe by yourself, and there's not direct interaction with me in real time. You can do it on your own time, but also I realize that, like, you know, presentations are something that I've presented them in person to people, to groups of people. But the difference is they do not require any group participation. You do not have to do anything with anybody else in that group. So those are more like there's an audience to the thing that I am presenting. I am presenting information to you. If it's a workshop, I might be presenting you something to do that you are working on and practicing, but there is no group dynamic in the way that there is with the classes. So now I'm trying to differentiate those along those lines a little more clearly. So like when you sign up for a class or a discussion group, you're also signing up to like do some work with other people. So 9 Moons is one of those. There's a lot of presentational aspect, but I also do want group participation in the chatting in that other space so that there's also some back and forth and a little more like getting to know the people in the group, as opposed to the presentational things are just like, you could just watch those on your own time, which is why I'm still in the process. I've got a lot of other things going on. But something else that I've been wanting to do is take some of those things that I have previously done as a presentation at an event somewhere, make a video version of it so that I can just put those up on my Patreon or Ko-fi, and you can just grab those and do those whenever you like. So I don't have any of those done yet because I have a bunch of other stuff that I've been doing, but that's some of the stuff that you'll see on the website on that page. The other thing that I'm adding along with the 9 Moons update is that I just posted a little bit of a save the date or just like be aware. I'm going to be doing my Reclaiming Books book clubs discussion groups again. Somebody asked me in the comments recently, am I going to do another Spiral Dance book club, and am I ever going to do one for the 12 Wild Swans? I have actually done both of those multiple times, but usually people from my YouTube audience do not sign up for those. And I think that a big part of it is because of the timeline of stuff here. When I post about things here, most people do not see that video right away, or even within the first week. Some people don't even watch it within the first month. So if I'm announcing things that are time sensitive, it's really difficult. I know that about you all. I have a really random upload schedule. I've been trying to upload at least once a month, and that's about all we can expect over here. On my second channel, on my games channel, I've been pretty consistent about uploading a new episode of some game that I'm playing, alternating a couple of games right now, once a week. I've been consistent about that for the last month. It doesn't mean it's gonna happen forever, but that's kind of a goal. So multiple videos a month over there, but one video a month here, because I'm also editing this podcast thing I don't know if you've heard me talk about. So I haven't gotten around to like turning my presentations into videos, but that's a thing that I'd like to do in the future to create some more resources for y'all that are still contributing to me being able to sustain this work, to sustain myself and my cats, and my ability to do this type of thing. But anyway, because it's not like a super regular schedule, I don't have an audience who watches like every single week. That's fine. We just have to know that about our situation, right? So I know that announcing really time-sensitive things doesn't always work. And so in the past, when I've done that, I have not left the videos up because then like I'll get a comment on a video a year later from somebody who wants to join that thing and it's long since passed. So instead, I'm going to be working on doing a video that can speak to the general topic of doing those and then just refer people to my website, because I have the website now to refer to, so that's nice. But in the past, it's always been like, you know, I'm recording this in August and this is happening in September, and then it's like it only applies to that time. So even if I'm talking about a wider subject, if there's a strong like time-sensitive bit in there, I don't like to keep that forever. So I have led those discussion groups multiple times. I realize that means people may have missed when I've talked about them before. I've mostly ended up leading them for reclaiming groups because it just so happens that the times in the past that I've promoted it to my wider audience, nobody signs up. Maybe because nobody saw it in time, but it is hard for me to plan them really far in advance. So I'm putting it on my website now, so you can always go check my website. And when I know that something's coming up, I will be putting it there. I also say stuff about that in my email newsletter, so that's a great way to find out what's going on. You can sign up for my newsletter for free. I send an email about once a month, usually around the Sabbats. And then I might do a couple bonus emails that are closer to time-sensitive things. Like I already sent out my August newsletter, but I'll send another email when the 9 Moons registration opens up, because I didn't have that ready to go out at the same time as the August newsletter. So there'll be a little bonus email, but usually it's just that one thing a month, and mostly around the Sabbats. So the next one will be around the September equinox. So right now, I'm thinking that I will start with doing another Spiral Dance discussion group in December and January. So kind of after the 9 Moons course wraps up, or maybe overlapping with it a little bit. but the 9 moons is going to go through until the December solstice. So starting somewhere around the December solstice. So it'll be through the winter. Try to do like the first half before New Year's and the second half, take a break around New Year and do the second half later in January kind of thing. It might go into early February toward Imbolc. I don't know, but that's kind of what I'm thinking for the spiral dance, and then I don't know when the 12 Wild Swans one will be, but I'll do it after that. Usually when I do the 12 Wild Swans, it's one path at a time because the book has 3 paths. So I'll do just going through the elements path, and then the inner path, and then the outer path. So there's actually like 3 courses within that, you could say. And each of those I do over 8 weeks. So to do the whole thing that way is over 6 months. That's a big one. That's a big commitment. I'm kind of interested in doing one where we do it all just in the 8 weeks, do the whole book, but that is more reading and more work per week. So it depends. And with the spiral dance, the way that I've broken them up in the past, it could also be an 8-week thing. So I think that that's a good way to think of it as a base, is that these are all 2-month things. They're 8-week-long things. And if we do 4 weeks and then a week break and then another 4 weeks, then it's over 9 weeks total. But anyways, they're not a one-time deal. They are a signing up for a series of facilitated discussions, resources, prompts, everything. So these are paid offerings, and there will be scholarships, sliding scale, all of that, as I do. But they're kind of a big undertaking, and it's a little bit different every time because it depends on who shows up in the space and what really stands out to you. There are things that I will always want to point out to people based on my experience, but there will be different people will have different questions as well, so it'll go in different directions. So it's very rewarding for me. I love to do it. And it's a lot of work, and teaching and reclaiming is one of my other main streams of income. So it also involves having access to the book, and there are not audiobooks available for these things, which is another reason why having a discussion group can be nice, as another way to integrate that work. And because these books were published years ago, decades ago now at this point, you may have some questions for someone who is currently part of the tradition about what something actually means or how something is done now and what's the same and what's different all this time later. Particularly with the spiral dance. If you want to do the spiral dance, I'll put it, there will be more info on the website, but you're going to want to get the 20th anniversary edition. That is the most recent edition. It has notes in the back from the 10th and 20th anniversary editions. And that really helps to show some context of changes from the original publication in 1979 to the 10th anniversary in 89, 20th anniversary in 99. Starhawk points out things that were already shifting and changing about the way that the tradition was working in just those first 20 years. And now here we are years beyond that. So yes. Thank you to the person who asked that question. It made me realize that perhaps all of you have been missing it every time I've talked about these things. And I haven't had one on the schedule in the last year, but I have done them multiple times over the past several years. 2022, 2023, 2024, but a lot of those were longer, like they were the 6-month ones. So I'm not starting a new one when I'm in the middle of leading one of those. So yeah, I haven't done any in the past year. But get ready for that stuff. This has been a long video. My cats are lounging on the new tree, and I need to go get something to eat and then edit this video at some point this week. So thank you very much for watching and or listening. I will see you next time, and that'll be after my birthday. Although there will be another games video on my other channel this weekend. So go check that out if you haven't been over there as well. But until next time, wherever and whenever that may be, don't forget to be awesome, blessed be, and goodbye.